2005, $170 million of our taxpayers' money was blown on Bush's fantasy of getting rid of all sex education programs in the schools and replacing them with abstinence only. All you need to know is that if you just say no to those sinful desires until you're married to somebody of the opposite sex in a Christian church, everything will be wonderful, and that's all you need to know. Well, they couldn't find anybody reputable to come up with a curriculum for this, so they went straight to the usual quacks. Congressman Henry Waxman did a study and showed that school kids are now being taught things like touching another person's genitals will get them pregnant. Sweat and tears transmit HIV. And the LA schools, of all people who should know better, with every second person there having boob jobs, and they say, well, you have to constantly have alternatives to sex in the back of your mind so you can say no, such as visiting a nursing home. Play miniature golf. Oh, baby, you're so hot. Oh, this feels good, this feels so good, but I'm gonna clean out the garage. They seriously expect people to believe this, and so what do you know? Only 12% of people who take the abstinence pledge actually keep it. And now kids have had the wool pulled so far over their eyes with these phony sex education abstinence classes, they think, okay, well maybe I won't get pregnant or get a sexual disease if we just all have anal sex instead and stick to blowjobs. Kids are doing that now. When he first proposed this, Bush even held up as an example of what he wanted to use, the National Abstinence Clearinghouse in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, who in all seriousness with high school age kids has you put a red construction paper heart over your chest and pledge never to give in to those sinful desires while you're being terrorized of the evils of sex by rubber snakes. The instructor wielding fanged rubber serpents with names like Herbie Herpes, Albert AIDS, Poor Pregnant Peggy Sue, and Lucy Loss of Reputation. And this is what they call intelligent design. So we got problems in this country. We have the worst rate of sexually transmitted diseases and teen pregnancies in the industrialized world, perhaps because of our lousy sex education. You could at least in the school say, okay, if you're really horny and you're going to do something about it, how about mutual masturbation? It shouldn't take till I'm 40 years old for me to finally figure out, in the age of HIV and Hep C and meeting somebody new and having no idea where they've been before, that maybe mutual masturbation the first time or two or three doesn't automatically make you a bad lover. Jocelyn Elders, Clinton's Surgeon General, proposed teaching this in public schools, and he fired her within the week because the religious right kept bullying him and getting down on him for how immoral he was. And worse yet, if you let people get into things like that, it could promote the homosexual agenda. Oh my is right, the homosexual agenda. Oh, you hear about it a lot from people like Karl Rove, the Pillsbury doughboy himself, widely believed to be gay himself. It wasn't gay rights activists who forced gay marriage into the forefront of the 2004 elections. It was Karl Rove announcing in advance that this is how we're going to screw the other side. Anybody who isn't as homophobic as we are automatically anti-family. Now, I live in San Francisco, the world capital of gay culture. My gay friends and activists and stuff, they were not pushing marriage as their main issue. Their main issue was trying to eradicate HIV and AIDS and protect people from being beat up by homophobes or getting thrown out of their parents' house or hazed at school because they were gay. That was a much bigger issue than marriage. But no, now this is at the forefront. You either take a stand against it or you're anti-family, and worse yet, you're promoting the homosexual agenda. What is the homosexual agenda? Playgrounds of little Liberace's and Rosie O'Donnell's? Scoutmasters in pink nighties imitating priests? What are they so afraid of? Oh my God, you might see somebody of the same sex kissing each other on television. Worse yet, they might move into your neighborhood. Worse yet, they might even say hello to you. I would seriously rather have kids in grades K through 12 all singing along to Tribe 8 and Pansy Division songs. I'll even put up with a few more Morrissey fans walking the earth if it gains us the pitchforks we need to beat back the fundamentalist Christian agenda. That's the agenda that scares me. And you'll notice how selective fundamentalists are with their moral values. Abu Ghraib is moral. Bankrupting the whole country through tax cuts for the rich and making everybody poor, oh, that's moral. Wars, oh, that's moral. Homeless people, that's moral. Newt Gingrich banging his secretary the whole time he's getting Clinton impeached for Monica Lewinsky, that's moral. Rush Limbaugh beating Courtney Love to the finish line as the first celebrity casualty of OxyContin or hillbilly heroin, that's moral. Going on TV lying to desperate old ladies to swipe their pension money for your fake church, oh, that's moral too. Spending millions of dollars to keep black people from voting, that's moral too. If they're so worried about people flipping the scripture and all, why aren't they more upset about Santa Claus? Muslims don't have a Santa Claus. Jews don't, Buddhists, not Hindus, or even Zoroastrians. Only Christians let the temple get this bazaar on their prophet's birthday. And what do you know? Santa delivers miracles that Jesus can't. Presents, gifts for free, something for nothing, the American way. And then the great miracle happens even by Mel Gibson standards, and the prophet Jesus rises from the dead resurrected. How do we heathens commemorate the divine miracle? The Easter Bunny. Egg hunts. Interesting. Meanwhile, the Park Service is now selling a book claiming the Grand Canyon was created by Noah's flood. Rubber snakes tell us not to have sex. Well, it gets a little sicker when you find out that the Center for Disease Control, which like FEMA should never be politicized, they're taking HIV prevention information off the websites because it might lead to premarital sex or promote the homosexual agenda. And the Bush administration has become notorious for being openly hostile to science itself. If somebody says, yes, global warming exists, they make them rewrite the report to say that it doesn't exist. Is this what they mean by faith-based initiatives? Bush's idea that, well, if we just yank enough money from homeless shelters and programs for poor people and give them all to churches for free, then they'll magically spend the money building homeless shelters and helping poor people. That in itself smells. Plus, when I was a teenager, a good friend of mine went into rehab for alcoholism, and right at the most vulnerable point in his life, this hospital began shuttling him across the street to this wacky church, so he comes out of rehab a born-again Christian, and none of us ever saw him again. What if this whole war is a faith-based initiative? Second book that Bob Woodward wrote about Bush and his war presidency, he asked Bush, how do you think history's going to judge you and what you've done in Iraq? Oh, we don't know. We'll all be dead. What? Does this mean Cowboy Pea-Brain Cornholio is one of these believers that we're living in the end times and this is the last generation? And what if one of these people around him plants it in his little pea brain that you want Jesus to come back, don't you, George? Well, yeah, I've been waiting to take him around the ranch in my golf cart called Gator. Okay, George, you want Jesus to come back? You have a job to do. If you want Jesus to come back, we need the rapture, George. For that, we need Armageddon, George. Come on, George. Push the buttons, George. Launch our weapons of mass destruction that can blow up the world again and again and again. And hey, in heaven, you can be commissioner of baseball. This is dangerous stuff. The rapture, I don't mind. That's a good concept. All these true believer bigots suddenly rising up out of the ground, just like the Jack T. Chick tract, all flying into the sky naked, leaving the rest of us to fix the planet in peace at last.